Hi, Nancy. Boy, that orange is really hard to see on that. Well, I don't know. That looks. Yeah, maybe I should go darker. Okay, so today we're going to work on finding the area of a circle. Let's recall that parts of a circle is denoted by its center. We know that the circumference is the outside measure. The diameter goes from one side of the circle through the center and out the other side. That's called a diameter. We have several of them inside of a circle. And anytime you go from the outer edge to the center of the circle, that's called the radius. The relationship between the diameter and the radius is that the radius is half of your diameter, which in turn means that your diameter is 2 times the radius. Yesterday we talked about the formulas for the circumference of the circle. Remember, there were 2 formulas. One was just pi times the diameter, and the other formula was 2 times the radius, which is the diameter, times pi. So it depends on what's given to you in the problem, which one you would use. The area of a circle is its inside space. This space is made up of squares, just like when we were doing our rectangles and squares and triangles. So if I want to find the area of a circle, knowing that it's squares, my units are going to be squared as well. So notice, what do I have here? What kind of part of the circle is this measure here? The radius. So I have to have the radius in order to find the area. And when I want to find the area of a circle, I take the radius and I multiply it by itself. This causes the square situation that we need to build all the little squares inside the circle. So we take the radius times pi. Now remember, we use 3.14 as a approximation for pi, but pi is really 22 over 7. We did that when we did the little ratios yesterday. Actually, you guys, yesterday afternoon, when we did the candy circle thing, I had one group of people who were right here. They were measuring really, really closely, and they had the Smarty candies. And they actually got 22 over 7 as their ratio, which I thought was pretty neat. Okay, now, if my radius is 5, can you calculate the area? Remember, just take the 5 units, put them where the 2 r's here are in the equation. So 5 times 3.15. How much is 3.14? How much is that? I got 78.5, okay, or 78.5 square units. Remember, it has to be squared because you're creating squares inside when you take that radius times itself. Okay, square units. All right, now what's given to you on this problem? The diameter. Now, how do I get the radius when I have a diameter? divided by 2. So 8.6 divided by 2 has to be done first, and then I can stick it in the formula. So 8.6 divided by 2 gives me 4.3. So my formula will be 4.3 times 4.3, this builds my square, times pi. Tell me what that area will be. And then I rounded it to 2 decimal places, so 58.06 square units. Remember, for area, you're going to have squares. Question? Because 8.6 is the diameter, and I need the radius. And the radius in a circle is half of the diameter. Remember that from yesterday? Okay. So we had to divide the diameter in 2 to get the radius, and then I could do the formula. Okay? Good question. All right, so let's do another example. So what is given to you in this problem here? The radius, yes. So I'm going to go 6 times 6 times pi to get the area. So what would my answer be? What's 36 times 3.14? 113.04, and this is going to be feet squared or square feet, whichever way you want to say it, because my units are in feet. And they have to be squared if I'm talking about an area. All right, tell me what the area is for this circle. I'm going to let you do this one kind of on your own. What should I do first? Okay, go ahead and divide the diameter. What did you get, James? 176.6. Let's see if that's what I get. So what did you get when you split it in half? 7.5 meters, right? Okay, so 7.75 times 7.5 times pi, and that gives me 176.625. And you rounded yours to 3? Okay, that's fine. Okay, here's example 3. So my diameter is 3 yards, and I just want the semicircle, the green section of this. So I'm going to find the area, but I got to remember to split it in half because I'm doing a semicircle. So what is my radius? Okay. So 1.5 times 1.5 times pi. My area is 7.065, but I just want the semicircle. What I've calculated is the entire circle. Divide that by 2. So when I divide it by 2 or times it by half, I'm going to get 3.5325 yards. Okay? Let's start all over. We were given the diameter. It was 3 yards. we needed to get the radius. The radius would be the diameter divided by 2. 3 divided by 2 was 1.5. Then we took pi times r times r. In this case, pi is 3.14. We have 1.5 times 1.5. We get 7.065. But since I need the semicircle, this gives me the full area of the circle. We have to divide that by 2. And the semicircle is 3.5325 yards squared. Any questions on how to do a semicircle? Yeah, they would be half of the circle. So do the whole area of the circle and then split it in half to get the semicircle. And James? No, I didn't round, but you could round, surely. You could make it 3.5 or 3.53. It didn't ask me to round. Yeah, but sure, you could round if the problem asks. So in summary, a circle has a radius r and a diameter d. It has a special ratio called pi. We know that's 22:7. The area of the circle is pi times radius, or pi r squared. The area is in square units, so anytime you do your units, they're going to be square units. Okay, let's look at your packet for today. A pencil? Oh, here's a pen, yeah. Okay, you guys have a pre-test and a post-test. All right, the pre-test is S8VLZHXB. The post-test is 9VBE97WO. Page 2 talks about how to do the area. Your first exercise is on page 3, though. Okay, now on the instructions it says, you have here at the top, you have the actual formulas for the area, okay? So the area, you find the area is what you're supposed to do in this exercise, and you use a pi of 3.14. They want you to round 2 decimal places. So James, this one you're going to round, okay? I don't mind if you guys use your calculators today, that's fine. So you can use calculators today. What would my formula be for my first problem here? What? Yeah, my radius is given, and it's 3, so I'm going to go 3 times 3 times pi. And you came up with what? And they want it rounded to 2 decimal places, so I got 28.26. Okay? That's the formula. Now for the next formula, 3.14 times 5 times 5. Didn't we do this one in the example? Because the radius is 5. And they want us to round it if necessary, so 78.5. And what's nice about this page is they already put the units there for you. But you got to remember, you got to do square units. Okay, the radius is given in the next problem too, so this one would be 3.14 times 7 times 7. 153.86. I got 12.56 for that second one. Now, what am I going to do for this one that's got a diameter of 5? I need to find the radius. Yeah, my radius is 2.5, so my area is going to be 3.14 times 2.5 times 2.5. That's quite a few decimals. They said round it off to 2 decimal places. Yeah, I got 19.625, so when we round it, 19.63 is what I get as well. Okay? And then what am I going to get for my radius on the one right next to it? We get 6, right? So 3.14 times 6 times 6 will give me 113. Did you guys get 113.04? Okay, so I'll let you guys do the last two. The last two will be done just like the last two problems we did. And tell me what your answers are. Radius is 7 here. Radius is 3 here. $153.86 for this one. And then the one with 3. 28.36. Okay, are there any questions on page 3? Any questions on page 3? Okay, page 4 is more examples. Now, on page 5, what's the difference between the two exercises? What are you supposed to do on exercise 2? They want the area, and you're given what? Radius with a pi of 3.14. Okay, and what is it you're supposed to do on exercise 3? You're given the diameter, and you're using a pi of 22/7, and you're going to round to the 10th. On top, you're rounding to the 100. So you need to follow the instructions. So let's do 1 or 2 of these in each section so you guys know how to do it. If I'm already given the radius, and I'm going to use a pi of 3.14 and just round to the 100, I can just go ahead and do my area formula. 3.14 is pi. I have 1.5 times 1.5. So I got 7.065, but I need to round it to the nearest 100. 7.07, right? Here's the hundreds place, so look right to the right. And this is inches squared. 7.07 inches squared. Okay, on number 2, going to use 3.14 again. 3.3 times 3.3. And let's see what that's going to be. Try that. And then I need to round this. And that would be meters squared. Don't forget to put the unit down, okay? So those are the first 2 problems in problem set 2. Is that what you guys got? Which one? 7.9 for which one? Oh, for number 3. I didn't do number 3. I didn't do number 3 yet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the first 3 on the bottom one as well with the differences in it. The area is, I know my radius is going to be half of this. So 22 over 7 times 2.1 times 2.1. So you guys tell me what you guys get when you do this one. Well, 4.2 is the diameter. And half of that would be 2.1. So 2.1 times 2.1 times 22 divided by 7 gives me 13.86, and they want you to round to the 10th. 13.9 miles squared. Okay, James? Because you're given the diameter, you have to divide by 2. And they want you to use a pi of 22 over 7, and they want you to round to the 10th. So the parameters have changed a little bit. Okay? So you got to get the radius first. No, you can't do 4. You got to divide it by 2. So on number 8, I'm going to get 1.4 for my radius. So the area here is going to be 22 over 7 times 1.4 times 1.4. I get 6.16, and then if I round it to the 10th, I'm going to get 6.2. .2 feet squared. So don't forget, when you have a diameter, you need to divide it by 2 to get your radius, and then you take that number squared and multiply it by the pi. And in this case, they want you to use a pi of 22/7. So let's set up that last one as an example, and you guys can finish the rest. The radius is 5.6 divided by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 times. That'll give me a 4, 16, so 2.8 looks like my radius there. So I've got 22/7 times 2.8 times 2.8. Did anybody get number 9 yet? You got what? 24.6? Okay, let me see what I get when I do that. Yeah, so you get 24.64, and then when you round it, you get 24.6, and that's inches squared. So don't forget to put the units down, okay? So those are 3 examples of how to do problem set 3. So you guys can do 10, 11, and 12 the same way. Don't forget to find your radius first by dividing that diameter by 2. And then taking the square of your radius and multiplying it by pi. And in this case, they want a pi of 22/7. Okay? And then on the next activity, I think it's Yum Yums. You got 1, 2 pages of Yum Yums. Let me see if there's any that look really difficult. Those of you that are at the computer, did you have any questions on the Yum Yums at all? Was there 1 or 2 that you'd like me to do as an example on the Yum Yums? Did you guys get the answer to number 17? I got a lot of people doing their computer work, but no questions on the end. Yeah, how would I do number 17? No, that's not how you would do it. You already have the area. You already have the area, so you better take the 64 and divide it by pi first. So you need to take the 64 divided by pi. Whatever this answer is, you need to take the square root of it to get the radius. You're doing the problem backwards. Remember, the formula is area equals r times pi. You're given the area. So you need to take the area and divide it by pi. That would give you what r squared is equal to. Let's figure out what that is. We did a couple of them backwards yesterday too. So you have 20.382, so on. But then to get the actual r, you have to take the square root, because this is really r squared. The square root of 20.382 will give you r. And let's figure out what that would be. I get 4.5. No, the square root of 20, I get 4.5. So if I've got 4.5 centimeters for the radius, what is my diameter? Diameter is 2 times the radius. Oh, you mean you already multiplied it and got 9? Is that what you did, James? 4.5 times 2? Is that how you got 9? I get 9 centimeters. Okay, so let's go over how we did that again. We have to work the formula backwards to get the diameter. What we're going to do first is try to get the radius. So I know the original formula is area is equal to radius times pi. Well, I need to take the area and divide it by pi. That will give me the radius squared. Well, the opposite of squaring something is to take its square root. So to get only one r, I take the square root of 20.382, and I got 4.5, and I'm rounding these numbers, okay, because these numbers really go on forever. All right, and then I got 4.5 for the centimeters for the radius. Well, I know that I really need the diameter, so the diameter is going to be approximately 2 times 4.5, which is 9 centimeters. We had to work that formula entirely backwards. Now look at 18. What do we have to do in 18? You got to work it backwards. So I take 100 and I got to divide it by 3.14. That's going to give me my r squared. What did you come up with? Yeah, I get 31, approximately 31.847. So if I take the square root of 31.847, I get 5.664 for the radius, and that's going to be in inches. It's going to be linear because I just want the one measure. If I wanted the diameter, I would take 5.64 and multiply by 2. But I don't need the diameter. I want the radius. They want the radius here. They wanted the diameter here. So I was kind of suspicious that you guys didn't do those problems because nobody asked me to do them as an example. On number 19 it said, oh, question, Ladina. Because the square was given to you already, and we're working it backwards. So when you're working it backwards and you're just doing the radius is not going to be squared, it's going to be linear. And when you're working it backwards to get the diameter, it is not going to be squared, it's going to be linear. So you only have one unit. The square was already given to you, you broke it up. Now on number 19 and 20, they're true and false problems. Basically, if you calculate it, you need to see if you get this as the answer for the area. So they're telling you that you have a radius of 18 units and a pi of 3.14. Let's do that to see if that's what we get when we do it. 18 times 3.14 gives me 1,017.36. So that's true. And it would be square units. Okay, and then on number 20, we've got a 22 over 7 times 7 times 7 for the area. I'm just going to cross out one of these 7s, and then 22 times 7 equals 154. And that would be square units, so that's also true. Okay, so just calculate what the area is. So we did the last 4 problems. Is that enough of an example for you on the yum-yums? Okay, so go ahead and finish the packet. We have about 45 minutes before break time, so that should be more than enough time to finish the packet with the problems that we did not complete together. And then start your pre-test and post-test, and let me know if you have questions as you're working on them.